We're going out on video chat right now. Theo Fleury, a big hero of ours and all of yours, is joining us this morning. How you doing, Theo?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Well, we're okay, despite the Riders losing last night. Where do you join us from this morning? You in Cowtown, or where are you at?
I'm in Calgary today, yeah. And I made sure I wore my Sask made hat that I bought a couple weeks ago in Regina there.
So, well, here's the thing. We got a lot of questions to get to with you, Theo. There's a lot of topics that you can cover. Now, are you a CFL fan, A? And B, who do you cheer for?
Well, let's see. When I lived in Manitoba, I was a Bombers fan. And then when I moved to Moose Jaw and played junior there, I was obviously a big Rough Riders fan. And seeing I live in Alberta now, I have to support my Calgary Stampeders. I used to be a season ticket holder at the Stamps and for many years. And so it was great to see them win another Grey Cup last year.
So, well, times are good if you're a Stamps fan. So we'll call you a Prairie CFL fan. That works for me.
Yeah.
You're too busy to be a season ticket holder anywhere now. Tell the world and our viewers here, which is 89% Saskatchewan viewers, what Theo Fleury's up to. Last I saw you were in Estevan a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, since I wrote my autobiography in 2009, I've been exclusively traveling all over North America, speaking about trauma, mental health, and addiction. And I was in Estevan supporting a great group called Envision, who supports all kinds of trauma survivors, mental health issues, and addiction issues. And, I was in Weyburn the day before, worked with some frontline workers, and then obviously it was a big anniversary for the Envision group in Estevan, and was there to raise a whole bunch of money for an amazing organization.
Well, you're doing incredible work, and I know how good it feels, so good on you, Theo. And I'm going to turn these guys loose on you in a second because they got all the sports questions. But one of our producers here was digging into your background, and they said you just did a TED Talk in Vancouver to do with curiosity. So what's that all about?
Well, it's quite an honor to get asked to do a TED Talk, and so I went there, and I think, when I came out with my own story, I was curious about the healing process, how well I could get, what needed to happen on my end in order to get to, a place where, I could stop drinking, using drugs, and really start to, unpack and unravel, my own past history with trauma experience. And what I discovered was, all different kinds of holistic ways to overcome, some of the issues I had, not only as a kid, but as an adult as well.
Well, congratulations. And you're right. It is the number one weapon is holistic healing for those issues. All right, guys. I know I could talk to Theo about this till midnight. So you guys take over with what you want to talk to Theo about. Lynch?
Theo, John Lynch here. Do you find more acceptance to your programs now than, say, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, there's no question that, obviously I think mental health is a top of mind topic. And, I believe it is probably the biggest epidemic we have on the planet. And, obviously there's a lot of awareness out there. But, what I find is we have the highest awareness probably in the history of our planet that, that people struggle with different kinds of illnesses mentally. But on the other side of the coin, we have the highest suicide rates on the planet right now. And so why isn't all of this awareness, being turned into action and getting people well? And so that's probably the $1 million question that we need to have answered quickly so that, these unnecessary deaths are happening by people, taking their own lives.
Your tweets to the Prime Minister, Theo, are highly entertaining. Your thoughts on politics, because you're not afraid to dabble into that pool either.
No. I think he's the stupidest man on the planet. He's definitely has zero leadership skills whatsoever, and he has alienated the West. And obviously, with this week's announcements of C-48 and C-69, I think us as Westerners really have to take a look at, do we really want to be a part of, Canada? And, I think we need to step up the separation talk.
I tell you, I've heard about this for about 15 years. I've never heard it more, and then right now, Theo.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's warranted. His dad was not a fan of the West, and obviously he isn't as well. We've allowed the Americans to become the number one oil producers in the world. And, anybody with half a brain would know that the West exists, and the people have their jobs because of the oil and gas industry, and we produce the cleanest oil on the planet. And we've allowed other entities to come into our country and give the oil and gas industry a very bad name, which is unwarranted. And I don't know what what the future holds. And I'm an Albertan, and and if you know anything about our province and even Saskatchewan, we have used the oil and gas industry to provide lots of amazing services to people all across the country. And, it's a sad time to be a Canadian. And, obviously, I hope that somewhere down the road that common sense, comes into play.
Well, there is a genuine feeling out there that the guy really doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, he's a reformed drama teacher, I believe, or a deputy drama teacher, and then he becomes the Prime Minister of Canada. That's quite a big jump.
Yeah, well, you can't fix stupid. I've tried it. So, obviously, it's just really frustrating to, watch this guy on a daily basis, take apart our democracy that, many of our war veterans fought, to the death so that we could, have an amazing life, an amazing country. And he's dismantling it one law at a time. And, it's got to stop.
Theo, I'm going to switch gears on you. Happy birthday. We share a birthday. It is next week, June 29th.
Yes.
So happy birthday to you.
Yes.
We've known each other for about almost 15 years now. Theo's been a fantastic individual to be a part of. So thank you for your friendship. I got to use myself as a vehicle for the Smartboard. It's lighting up with all these questions. Besides Calgary, the number one question coming up on this board right now is, what city did you enjoy playing in the most?
Well, obviously Calgary. When I retired from the game, when I left the game, I was contemplating, because I could pretty much live anywhere. But like I said earlier, I wanted to. I was very lucky and fortunate in my career to, make the living that I had. And, when I was deciding where I wanted to live, Calgary was right at the top of the list because of, their giving spirit, how much they contribute to millions of charity organizations all over the province. And so now that I work in the field of trauma, mental health, and addiction, and know that, the mental health system in Canada is completely run over. I knew that I could come to Alberta, back to Calgary, and, start my own foundation and start to do some really good work and really work on the legacy piece of my life.
But when you were on the ice, what place other than Calgary did you enjoy the most?
Oh, I enjoyed every place I played. I think, Colorado was an amazing organization. It was like playing on an all-star team when you play with Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg and Patrick Waugh and Claude Lemieux, and, the list just goes on. And, then I went to New York for 3 years and anybody that gets the opportunity to play at Madison Square Garden every night, was pretty an amazing experience. And then obviously, my last year to be able to wear the Black Hawk, on your chest is probably one of the biggest thrills and honors that you can have.
Theo, one of the great things about this show is the viewers can ask questions themselves. They're writing in, and Doug in Indian Head says, Theo's a Prairie Treasure. Can you talk about playing for Terry Crisp? We got to meet him in Nashville December. A real treat. You won a cup with him. I can't imagine you two wouldn't have loved each other. They seemed like the same kind of guys.
Yeah, I have, a lot of respect for Terry Crisp. I wasn't supposed to play one game in the National Hockey League because I was obviously, somebody said one time that I was too small or something. I don't know, something like that.
Just about everybody.
But, Terry Crisp was the guy that gave me the opportunity, gave me the chance, and allowed me to make mistakes and, really sort of develop into, the player that I was. And he was hard on me but I think it was out of love and respect for one another. And, obviously when I came to Calgary, January 1st, 1989, I didn't know that, 6 months later, we'd be carrying around the Stanley Cup in the Montreal Forum. But without Crispy's support and, like I said, allowing me to, make some mistakes early on in my career, I probably wouldn't have a Stanley Cup.
Well, Theo, I was an Oilers fan and a Pats fan in the 80s, so there's that. Now, you're one of my heroes, no doubt about it. I was so stoked to see that you were coming on. So keep it going, and I know we're going to hear the best is yet to come, maybe a political run. I don't know. Just keep doing what you're doing and being Theo, all right?
Yes, I will for sure. Thanks so much, guys, and continued success with the show.
All right, and we claim him as a Saskatchewan guy. You see his hat.
You got it.
Saskatchewan.
All right,
made,
I am. Yeah, perfect. All right. Theo Fleury joining us from Calgary this morning on the Rod Pedersen Show.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.